When we think about Nuno Bettencourt and arpeggios, we probably visualize a super hot, super fast solo sprinkled with incredible technique and tapping. But we all know that Nuno also has a very soft spot for acoustic guitars, and especially for the 12-string guitar, as we can see from the Time of Pouring Graffiti with More Than Words, and especially Wholehearted. So it's not a big surprise that the new single from their latest album, 6, is a rock ballad that starts with a lush 12-string arpeggio. Actually, the song is in D flat, so it wouldn't be easy to play, but Nuno plays it with the guitar tuned down a half step, so it's exactly like playing it in D. And for this tutorial, since I don't really want to waste a lot of my time and your time, we're going to play it in standard tuning. Also keep in mind that if you practice it like this, when you play it in D flat, the tension on the strings will be lower, so it's probably going to be a lot easier to play. The arpeggio is quite easy. The only thing is you have to be careful to play it clean, because we're going to move around a little bit, so it's easier on a 12-string guitar just to play it like this, just to play some dead notes. You don't want to do that, so you better practice it till it sounds clean. The other thing is the rhythm. The arpeggio is in 4/4, but the leading phrases are all like in a 3/4 time, in a 3/4 feeling, like. So you probably would expect to just to go on like in 3/4 time. Actually, it's in 4/4, so you have to wait. Always like an added tag to what may sound natural, at least sounds natural to me. So I really had to practice a little bit until it felt natural to play. Okay, so the first bit is like this. These are the first two bars. We can use our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and we play G, D, E. We add E on the 4th string and play 4th, 3rd, and 2nd, and then an open D. And then again we play on the 2nd fret here A, D, and then open G. So then we move. This is actually another D, so it's D4 over F sharp. So it's F sharp, G, and D. So the chords are, this is G6, E minor 7, and D. This is D with the 4th, and then again major 3rd, 4th, and root. So the first two bars are, you can play it in different ways. You can play it with these two fingers, but I think it's easier to touch the other strings, so it's gonna be less clean probably. I prefer it like this. And then move on. You could play it like this also, but I don't know, that's your choice. The next bar goes down to B minor with a flatted 6. You can play this G with your middle finger or your index. Anyway, you have to be careful to stop this A from ringing. It's not ringing anymore. Even this phrase has a 3/4 time feel. And then you add again these two notes here. And this makes it a G major 7th. This is G, F sharp, and G again. This is probably, to me, is the most difficult thing to play clean. So we go down from B, A, and then again. And then we have F sharp again here, D and F sharp again. So this is another way to play a D major with F sharp in the bass. And then we go to E minor, 7th, 9. So it's E, D, and F sharp, and that's the 9th. And then G minor 3rd, D is the 7th, and E again. And then it starts again. Second time around, he adds some variations, like playing 2 strings at a time, or here. Just like adding a little bit more movement before going back one more time. These are little things that are already under the whole arrangement. They're a bit buried in the mix. But, I mean, if you do that, it may give a little bit more movement to the song, making it a little bit less mechanical, maybe. We're going to see a few things that he does that are a little bit low in the mix, that you don't really hear them too much, but they add movement, they add something fresh to the song. If you watch the video, in this point, you'll see that he frets this E minor 9 like this. Is almost like he's fretting B minor. You see he has his hand like this. I find it a little bit harder to play it clean. And actually, my wrist aches a little bit here. I prefer to play like this. My hand is more relaxed than this. This is a movement that probably doesn't really agree with me. So you can use one way or the other, whatever feels more natural. But the song doesn't stop after the arpeggio. Actually, we got a lot more stuff to play. So after the end of the first verse, he goes into a very short bridge before the chorus. It's a G major 7th, so you could fret it like this. But when you separate the tracks, you can hear that he plays, or at least it seems like he plays, because you're never sure with those apps that divide the tracks. You're never sure who's playing what. But you hear this thing, you hear this low F sharp, not just this one. Also, you hear this sound. It's a thing that sometimes you do. You can play two very close notes together, like the major 7th and the octave. And it's a sound that sometimes is very effective. In this case, you have to be careful because it could be a little bit muddy. It depends on your guitar and on your EQ. But this is what it sounds like. So the chords are G major 7th, and then he does this B minor 11. Instead of playing F sharp, he plays E, an open D, so no bar. So you got 2 bars of just 1 bar of B minor, and on the end of 4, it goes back to G. So it's this G comes on an 8th before the beginning of the next bar. And then we go to the chorus. Okay, the chorus is very simple. It's D, probably over A, because you hear this A. So 2 bars of D, 2 bars of G. 2 bars of C add 9, which is just like C, you add D here, and if you want, not really that important because you already have this G that's playing. Another thing that you can hear when you separate the tracks is that he does something like this. He plays the sixth, plays an A, adds an A. It does a little bar with his index finger and flattens it like this. Like I said, it's stuff that is down in the mix, so you won't really hear it that much in the final mix. But it's the kind of things that even if you do that on your stuff, on your material, they're just little variations that add movement, that add air to a song, to an arrangement. So I think it's quite useful to know that, even if you can't really hear it too much. And then it goes back to that. We can hear that as a different sound from. This is more open. This is more intimate in a way. So using that to close the chorus is probably a way to make things different and to give a different flavor to the end of the chorus. Then it goes back to the arpeggio and verse and bridge, and then again the chorus. Then before going to the solo, it goes to this little, we can call it the bridge, we can call it the middle eight, whatever you want to call it. It's another quite interesting bit. So it starts on D major 7th, and he plays it like this. So this would be combination of this D, take the D and go back to C sharp to get a major 7th. And then he plays something like this. So he moves C sharp, B, A. You can do it in two different ways. You can go with all your fingers like this and then go back here, or you can keep the bar here and then move all the rest afterwards. I mean, it's the same, whatever you feel more comfortable with. Then it goes down here and plays A7 on D. And does this little I did a tab of all this stuff, so I will put a link in the description so you can see actually what it does exactly. And then goes to D7. And then this chord here, we could call it, because afterwards it goes here, so we can call it B flat diminished or C sharp diminished or G diminished, whatever we want to call it, but it's over D. So you have this D that's playing all the time, so it's called a pedal note. This is another technique that is widely used in music and pop and rock, where you take a note and keep playing it below all sorts of chords. And doing this with D is quite nice because you have all these chords. Okay, these were all the parts of the song. The other thing we can talk about is the sound. It's a 12-string guitar, and one thing that you usually do with a 12-string guitar is use a very thin pick, because you get this popping sound. And depending on where you play it, you can get different sounds. And one thing that you can do is actually doubling the guitar. It's a thing that you do a lot with acoustic guitars. Double it and pan it hard left and right. You can hear that he did that. If you listen to the song with headphones, you can hear there are 2 12 strings panned left and right. So I think that maybe he could, I don't know, but judging from the sound, he may have done something like one guitar played more like here, like you see him playing in the video, like on the sound hole. And maybe another guitar played more like, more towards the bridge, because you can hear a little bit of this kind of sound. It could also be compression. It also could be a valve saturation. Sometimes you do simple things like this. Something that I do sometimes with acoustic guitars is playing the same part with 2 different guitars. Little things like this that give more space, more air to the arrangement, to the song. And maybe another thing that you can do is maybe add in an acoustic guitar, an acoustic 6-string to the mix, and maybe pan it center. And it gives sometimes more clarity, because this is it's always a little bit chorusy in a way with the 12 strings, and 2 12 strings may give too much of that thing. So sometimes you use a 6-string and put it in center, and it gives more clarity to the arpeggio, to the part. Another thing that you can do is actually add, but maybe not in this case, actually add an electric 12-string to the mix to get more of that edgy sound, just a little bit electric sound. But I'm not at all sure that it's something like that. But it's an idea that you can use. Okay, this is all for this video. As always, let me know in the comments if you find it interesting, if there's more stuff that you want to know about this song, or if there are other songs that you want me to make a tutorial about. As I said before, I did a tab of the whole thing, and there's a link in the description, so you can go and download it and practice the song on your own. Well, see you in the next video, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button.